preparing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just, I'm sure it's just about a second or so. Where's the Zoom? Where's the Zoom? Where's the Zoom? Excuse me, just. Yeah, so. Yeah, so we are here. Yeah. So it's nice to be with you, George and Alice. I want to just say hi to everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to Before and After. And I say I do, where we have candid talks about different things, and real life story. One thing we believe on is as much as we know theory, as much as we read books and everything, we normally know when someone has been in those shoes, they know it better. And so we always like to bring to you people who have walked the path of whatever we are bringing to you every Friday. And as we said when we were ending of last month, that this month we are going to talk about before and after we say I do. The vows we say at the altar when we are getting married to our friends. We're excited and we can't wait to live our life together. And what we're going to start with this first Friday of June is when till death do us part becomes a reality. And we know, of course, when we are saying those views, those vows, we never really, we don't internalize. I mean, it's not like I'm going to look forward to that day when they do us. But of course, we know it's a long way. We are going to grow. We're going to be together. And we always say we want to grow old together. That's every couple's desire. And so this evening, that will be our topic. When it becomes a reality. And in the show, I brought tonight two people who lost their loved ones, their spouse, at a very young age into their marriage. And they're going to be sharing with us their journey as they continue. And allow me first to introduce myself. I'm Pauline, your host on this show, a counselor and mediator. And it's my pleasure to have you follow us this evening. And I want to introduce my panelists this evening. And I want to start with, last Friday, because I had a gentleman and a man, I kept saying, let the man go first. But today, let the lady go first. So we'll do the ladies first. So allow me just to welcome Alice Wangaroro. And you can say hi to the viewers.
Hi guys, how are you? And thank you for following us and listening to our journeys. Thank you, Pauline, for hosting us.
You're welcome. Nice to have you over here with us this evening, Alice. And over to George. Say hello.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you here.
Okay. Thank you, George. Very obedient. Say hi. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. So yeah, so till death do us part, when it becomes a reality and it happens, we don't know when it happens, and that's the cruelty about death. And as much as it's cruel, that's the only way that we exit this world to the next world when we meet our maker. But we don't want it so soon. We want to enjoy life. We want to be together with family. But then again, we don't know. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it the day I say I do? Is it when we have our baby? We have had many people share their journeys. And this evening, I would want to start with Alice, just to tell us the background of her journey, just a brief of what happened that day, when did it happen, and then we shall go on. So Alice, over to you.
Thank you, Pauline. My till death do us part journey began 10 years ago on the 16th of Feb. He'd just come, he'd left home at around 3 o'clock. He was on his way to Murang'a, left for Murang'a, and on his way he had an accident. And unfortunately it was instant death. He crashed and hit his neck, and that was it. That was where my journey of till death do us part started. Thank you, Pauline.
So Alice, you say he went to Murang'a. So were you with him just before he went to Murang'a?
Yes, actually he had just passed by home because I had a young baby. So he had just checked in on us, and he said he's quickly dashing to Murang'a. And it would be a long journey because that back then was thicker road as it was. So I was not expecting him to be back anywhere before 11. So I knew it's going to be a long journey, but he had to do it that evening. And yeah, that is what happened.
That is what happened. So
Yeah.
Alice, at what point did you get the news? Who gave you the news? What happened after that?
Oh, it's crazy how I got the news, because when he left home, he left on his own, but I think he picked up a friend of his along the way. So when he had the accident, the friend knew a friend, so they didn't have my contact directly. So they called that friend to come to my house and just tell me, just bring me their phone, that somebody needs to talk to me. So I spoke to them. Yeah, I spoke to them and said that he told me that they'd been involved in an accident and that I needed to go to Murang'a. So yeah, we planned. I had to go get mom, and tukafunga safari ya jioni ya kwenda Murang'a. Yes, so they didn't, at that point, they didn't tell us what had happened. They just said that he was in hospital.
Would you remember what was going on in your mind at that time, Alice?
Oh, so much was going on in my mind. I was praying a lot. I was hoping for the best, because they were not forthcoming with, I'm trying to ask which hospital, where can I speak to somebody, to the doctor, can I talk to somebody, can they let me know, but they were not forthcoming. So it was basically, I was one of those nights when I was totally on my own. It was such a cold night, and by then we didn't have means of transport to go to Murang'a. So looking for means of transport at 8 o'clock in the night to take you to Murang'a. And clearly with the lighting as it was back then, it was one dark journey, one very dark journey. So you're praying and hoping that at the end of that journey, you will find some lights. And yeah, unfortunately, we did not find, we got to Murang'a at around midnight. And yeah, when we got to the hospital, that is the news that was relayed to me. It was a really sad situation, and being with mom, being just the two of us, it was a plus one escort and the driver. It was one lonely night.
So yeah. When you say mom, is it your mom? Was it your husband's mother?
Yes, my husband, my mother-in-law. So yeah, we picked her up along the way, and we went with her just because we just, you just don't know what you're facing. And I was not familiar with the area. So we needed her to then give us the directions of where to go and where exactly. We knew to the hospital where we were going to, but I didn't know that route, especially at night.
Wow. So at that point, Alice, when you had that, you got there, it is true he's not there. How was that for you, Alice?
It was really, really, really confusing time, because you don't know what to do. I was never ever prepared for anything like this. Growing, when you're taught that you will grow up, you get married, you never ever think that you will get married and this person will leave. And all of a sudden that this guy is gone, and you have two young babies, and what do you tell them? How do you even face them? How do you even start facing the children to tell them that your father is no more? How do you even get them to understand at their age that their father they will never see their father again? So it was a very trying time. It was a very chaotic evening. You don't know where to start from. You don't know what to do. You were nursing your own injuries, and now you've gotten another heartache. So it was one really, really confusing time. You don't know who to call, who to tell, who to turn to, basically. You feel like you're all alone in the world.
Wow, that must have been, that is tragic indeed. That is tragic. Yeah. Okay, so maybe you can, I'll get back to you. Maybe over to George. George, maybe you can take us through your journey before and after. What happened?
Okay, I think I would start from a day that Friday the 19th of October, 2007, when I left for work as usual, although that day was going to be different in the sense of I had two cousins who were burying that morning, and a funeral service in the evening. So I told my late wife, Priscilla, so we meet at the Langata cemetery, and left. And then now later on, she calls me to tell me I am at the hospital. Or the hospital, I came for a checkup. Why? Because of something one of the members of the house church, the house church in the estate had said the night before, at the meeting, when she was praying about something on her body. So she came for a checkup. There was no pain, no discomfort, nothing, just some marks. So anyway, she went. So she would come. I think I talked to her later. She told me, they have told me I come for the results afternoon, so I wouldn't be coming to Langata. I said, Sawa, we'll see you later. So I go on, I go to the evening, the service in the evening, and then the phone rings, and I come out of church in Langata to see 7 missed calls, and I call her and I ask her, what's up? I am being admitted. Now, a day that began with I'm off to work, she'll be off to work, we'll meet later, becomes that she needs to be admitted. Yeah, and we go to hospital now that Friday evening.
Sorry, George. Sorry, George, you got muted. Sorry, you got muted. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So leaving Langata now, go to hospital, get her admitted, did all that. And then Friday night, so she settles in. Next day, Saturday, I'm there. Then I come later with the children for her to see, because she was fine. So we come, we see her, reception. Then I take the children home, my 2 daughters. Then go back, stay with her in the evening, come back the following, Sunday we go to church. Saturday was the 20th October, Kenyatta Day. Then Sunday now we go to church, come with the children after lunch to see her. Then I take them home, I come later, spend the evening with her, friends, family. And then Monday I pass by by her, whatever, anything from the tests that were being done on Saturday, no, not yet. I go to work. I'll be coming to organize her discharge that day. I go to organize the NHIF card and all that. I come back. Lunchtime I talk to her. How are you? Lunchtime, anything? She was laughing with her sister. Anything from the doctor? No, not yet. So what's happening? The food? I don't feel like eating. What is it? Chicken? I like chicken. I know you like chicken. Why don't you eat? Yeah, but I don't feel like. She was with her sister. But anyway, I'll try. So anyway, I said, when the doctor comes, tell me. Later on, I reach out to her. She didn't pick the call. Like after an hour or two, I reach out there. So then I SMS her. When the doctor is done, call me. That's what I assumed. Then she doesn't call. She doesn't text. In the evening, 4 o'clock, my card comes and I leave for the hospital. The sister tells me, the one who was laughing with her earlier, by the way, when you get here, something has changed. When you get here, come and call me. So I'm in the lift, I'm coming. When I get there, I forget about the call I was to make. And I just go to the bed and she's not there, you know. So I asked the nurse, what's up? She tells me, Mr. Mutiga, I've been looking for you the whole day, you know, the whole afternoon, whatever. Yeah, I know. I didn't believe that because I've been at my phone the whole time. But anyway, okay, where is she? I see you. Ati, what happened? So they told me, oh, she collapsed. They had to resuscitate, Nini. So where is ICU? I even forgot where ICU was. Then they showed me, or somebody showed me, and then I was off to the ICU. I find her there in a coma. She's lying there, machine breathing for her. She's all covered up. And at some point, the doctor tells me what's going on, and they are waiting for something. They are confirming because something they are seeing is not agreeing, making sense. And then the test, bado, we don't know. That bone marrow test that we're doing on Saturday, results not yet. So anyway, what's happening? She's not clotting. A clot, I think, was going to her brain. That's why she was now in a coma. So we come out. What do? We need blood to get platelets, all that. So I'm there waiting in the ICU with my pastor, now Bishop Kitoto, and we were there and crying and praying. And then one of the neurosurgeon comes and tells me, do you know, it's very serious. That clot has gone to the CPU of the brain. You know, it's very serious. CPU. So we're just like, I'm crying. He's praying, my pastor. And then they told us, here's the documentation, go to the blood center. And I knew people would be there. Even me, I was going to be there. So no, you wait. Don't give yourself. So we do that. Then we are called by a doctor who is an elder in our church in ICC. And he calls us to his office, and we go there, and he tells us acute myeloid leukemia. I didn't know there were many leukemia. That's what it is. And then we do Q&A with him. And then while we are doing that, now her doctor calls us. And we now come back to the ICU, and she tells me, this is the diagnosis. The outlook has changed. Now you need to pray. So we are praying and all. Also we are there now, of course. Friends, family, deacons, pastors, because she was the church administrator at International Christian Center, ICC. I was a deacon. So we are there. So pastors, deacons, family members, friends, they are there. So anyway, we need to pray. The elders, let the elders of the church pray. You know the Bible says. Pray, and one of the pastors prayed. And then there was an alarm, on her machine, the one monitoring the heart, the pulse. There was an alarm. Somebody came and switched off the, alarm. Then we finished praying, and I'm thinking maybe he's not doing anything because we are praying. We might disturb us. So we are done with that, and then I ask him, so what's happening? I see them giving her some injection, and then they tell me, I'm sorry, Mr. Mutiga, the doctor told you. I said, yeah. So I see this thing is still counting down, 72, 71, 70. Right. Then I say, in the movies, I see them doing something on your chest. Why are you not doing that? So they told me that dawa you saw us giving her, it does the same thing. So I'm sorry, Mr. Mutiga, the doctor told you, I think I was getting now a bit irritated by that question.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we are there. 42, 41, 40, 13. Yeah, this thing is not stopping. And I just knew, okay, I think this is it. So I was there now. I realized, okay, if I'm going to say anything, I better say it now because it's going to zero. So I was there, I think, leaning on her arm or chest or something. And now I told her things, about, our daughters. I will bring them up well. They will be winners in life. They will not lose because they don't have a mother, things like that. Talking. At some point, I think what triggered me, I looked up, I saw maybe the thing going off or something. I looked up, it was over, and it was 9 p.m. It was a 9 p.m. at that moment. And she was gone, and I stayed there for another hour. I knew when I leave, everything changes. Next time I see her, to be mortuary, all that. And that's how it is. From let me go do a test on Friday to Monday night, she's gone. Just like that.
And she took herself to hospital.
22nd of October. Huh?
And you say she took herself to hospital.
She took herself there, and you have to do a test because somebody said those spots you are seeing on your skin or those marks. My sister, she prayed about that. She asked people pray for me. I'm having these things and they are not going. So, so we prayed for her. People prayed for her in the house church meeting. Then one of them said, my sister or somebody had something like that, and it didn't end very well. So I think that stayed with her overnight. In the morning, she went for a checkup. So there was no pain, no discomfort, nothing, just a marks on her skin, which we learned later on was because she was not clotting, the capillaries would burst if she's hit by something hard enough and burst under the skin and bleed out kidogo or much, depending on how big the cut was under the skin. And the mark stays there. That's why there were marks. But there was no pain, nothing. She was well, as far as we knew. She went to hospital and for a checkup, and she was told you can't go
home. Wow.
Yeah, so even her jacket was still in her office.
Wow. So the count goes down to 0 and the machine stops. So how was that?
Now of course it's done. So when the alarm went off, the nurse made an adjustment, stopped the alarm, and now they stood next to the machine until we finished praying. Then somebody stayed there, or both of them stayed there with us. And I think when now it went to 0, it was over. So they did their thing, disconnected, whatever they did, but it was 0 now. It was over. Yeah.
So looking at your wife lying there, how was that for you, George?
Now, at the end of it, or during the process?
At the end of it all now. At the end of it all, you're seeing the count is going down. You guys are praying, then it stopped, and you actually see she's there. She's not there anymore.
Yeah. So now I knew that it's over now. And I'm seeing it's now going to be to 30. It's going down. There's nothing. Samutika, the doctor told you, So I guess the doctor was supposed to have told me she's dying, but she didn't put it that way. She just said it's serious, So anyway, so I see her there now. Of course now I'm crying, but I know it's over, so I'm crying, and I'm first of all those few seconds or whatever before it gets to 0, I'm speaking assuming she's alive because it's not 0 yet. She probably was gone. Probably was gone. But because the machine was breathing for her, they were keeping her warm because the CPU had been, messed up by the clot. So, but anyway, I had that hope. At least I can say something, even if she never responds. But I did. So pray, because I know it's over. It's done. Yeah, just sad. Shocked by how it had all been so sudden. How did it end how did it end up with this?
Yeah. So how Alice, I know you're a Christian. But how did you feel towards God? Did you think about God? Were you unhappy? What came to your mind about God? Was God anywhere at that time?
I am a Christian, I am a Catholic, and I really, really love God. At that time, I've got to admit, there's a point at which I did not understand why God would do that to us, why God would do that to such a young family. I could not bring myself to terms and just say, God, I love you. But then again, I had grown up knowing God and knowing that at the end of the day, something good, something will come out of it. I had met Sam, who was a beautiful soul, such a beautiful spirit, and I had two very beautiful children. So I somehow deep down, though I did not see it at that point, I knew God was there. At that point, it was really not clear to me how much God loves us. All I knew is that I had my rosary strong in my hand, and I needed to keep praying, and I needed to keep saying the Lord's Prayer. And I've got to say the Lord's Prayer got me through. It really, really did get me through that season of darkness. Yeah.
darkness, of season of darkness, wondering why would God allow you to suffer that way. George, how was it for you? I mean, you were a deacon and your wife was a church administrator. How was it? What was it? How did you view God?
How did I?
View God.
I mean, like I said, there was a shock. It was sudden. I mean, we had plans, you know, we were only 7 years in marriage, there were young children, you know. It was a shock that it's coming to an end. In fact, there were times in that I would stop myself, you know, and tell myself, you know, this funeral being arranged is about my wife. This story is about me, it's not about somebody else. So it was a bit of a shock, but and of course I cried, and you know, I cried a lot when I was in hospital. When I would think of the children, I would cry. So it was tough, but God's grace, you know, was there. Yeah. And I remembered the you know, the Bible saying, you know, in 1 Corinthians 5:18 that, you know, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And I told God, thank you, you know, at some point in the days that followed, thank you for taking her away. I mean, you tell us to say thanks, I'm saying thank you. Yeah. Your word also tells me that you have a beautiful plan for my life, a perfect plan for good, not for evil. So Jeremiah, is it 29? So even this death fits that plan somehow. You know, from where you are, God, this death fits that plan. You know, yeah. So even thinking about the girls, yeah, even for them, you have a beautiful plan, a good plan for their life. This death, taking away their mother, fits that plan somehow. I mean, I wouldn't, if you are asking me, thinking about them, if you are asking me, I would probably tell you, you could have taken me, because, you know, they are girls. They need a mother, not a father. I mean, if you are to choose. But God did not consult me, so as he did it. So I gave thanks. I kept the faith, you know, that God, this works for good. Yeah. Wow. Prayed, and I knew also people were praying for me, friends, family. People would tell me, my little daughter or son, when we are praying as a family, and pray for Baba Shiro. Yeah. So we knew people were praying.
People are praying.
That encouraged us, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And I think important to say at this point is, you see, of course, when people are bereaved, people are very fast to give scripture and all. But I think I like that, you see, like even what Alice said and yourself, you know, there's some point where you're wondering, is God really there? And I think at that moment when it just happens, it does help that even we know God and we know those who are bereaved know God, but at times it's not the right time to bring the scriptures, you know, because you know all those scriptures. But if I come telling you that God, you know, all things, I mean, they are not appropriate at that moment. So I think it's very important to give people time to take time, because you know they are Christians, but they are bereaved. I mean, it's okay for them to ask questions. It's okay for them to feel God doesn't love me. Where is God at this point? I mean, I'm very young. We just got married some few years ago. So I think it's important for even Christians to know that it's not the time to really just unleash scripture. But I like what George said. He knew that also people, when they were away, they were praying for them. So you can pray when you're away, when you're at your home. But of course, when you visit these bereaved people, you just stay with them, be there, be present. And then, of course, God will be able in his own way to bring them back, and they'll be okay. I just thought it was important for me to mention that. Alice, you said that your children were, how long had you been together?
My son was 2.5 years old. My daughter was six weeks old.
6 weeks old.
So 6 weeks old, yeah. So even as, in fact, when I got the call, I was actually breastfeeding her, just there with her post CS, 6 weeks trying. You can't move around a lot. You know, CS wounds get infected, blood clots and all. So I was really not mobile. I was not able to move around a lot. I was in a lot of pain, physical pain. Yeah, she was really, she was very tiny. She was 6, just 6, very young. Both of them were very young. But today I thank God. I really thank God today, yeah. Because when I look at them, when I look at her, she's 10 now, and she's jumping all over, and she's upbeat, and she can talk about the dad. And she knows him so well. She can pick him out of pictures, out of anything. She can pick him out. And I am happy to the fact that they really love their dad, regardless of the fact that she never met him. She met him for a very short time. She does not know him, so to speak. But I thank God that now she knows him through us.
Oh, wow, wonderful. And we'll definitely get back to hearing your journey up to now. And George, how long had you been married and how old were the children?
We got married on 29 July 2000. So this happened in October 2007. So the oldest one was 5.5. And the youngest one was 1.5. Actually, she was still breastfeeding, you know.
Wow, yeah, they were quite young, and they were both girls. And you said the days mom was in hospital, you kept taking them with you.
Yeah, because she was not sick, you know. As far I mean, some sports here or there don't mean sickness. Okay, to our mind. Yeah, and she was not complaining. Apart from all the blood tests she was doing, there were no issues. So we would go take them, of course, to the reception area where you could come as visitors, and she would come and meet us there. Yes, so they saw their mom that Saturday and the Sunday, and of course she talked like a lot. You know, me what I am thinking about is my girls. Like I was asking her, what about me? But yeah, so she got to see them both days.
Because it was just you. I mean, you were just starting. You knew she would come home anyway.
She will come. I mean, she went. I mean, we took her from home in an ambulance. She drove herself for a checkup. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then George, when maybe take us through how now. Of course, you did the burial. So what happened after that? Did you disclose to your daughter? How just tell us about what unfolded after that.
So how I told them, you know, that, so we came back at night, a little motorcade from the hospital. My pastor was there, or pastor, some of them, friends, mini family. My best friend was there, best man. My best man was there, all that. So we came home, and the older one was asleep. And now it was the younger one who was still fasting with the housekeeper. So I was wondering now, of course, how will I tell them, you know? But in the morning, when I woke up, I had figured it out. Okay, I'll just tell them. You know, she went to be with Jesus. I'm not going to lie or tell them, you know, some stories. She went to be with Jesus. So I figured it in my head. I said, okay. Then I called them in. Of course, they woke up to find people in the house, which was unusual. People that didn't live there, apart maybe from the youngest, who was quite very young. But anyway, so I called them to my room. They come, the two of them, close the door. Then I'm holding them and I tell them, okay, your mom, she went to be with Jesus. And the older one understood straight away and ran out. Yeah, she made some sound and ran out. I thought she would, you know, sit around and hug and cry, but she ran out, and the small one ran out, Shiro, you know, calling her, and so I was left alone. So they of course now their aunties were around in the house. So they told me later on they went to check with them the things I was telling them. So of course it was confirmed. But the aunties kind of left it to me, and to be the one who tells them anything that they would ask. But whatever they would ask me and I answer them, they would go and ask those in the house, the aunties, uncle. So daddy is saying this, is it true? Or this is it true? So I was told later on they are cross-checking on what I'm telling them. So I was glad that all of us speaking to them were saved. So we were speaking the same thing, and we were all, we were all telling the truth, just keeping it adequate, appropriate for their age, but telling them the truth. Then we moved on to, okay, now we need to arrange a funeral. And we did that, and I engaged them. I decided to engage them. I didn't want them, perhaps because of things I had read or heard, I didn't want them to come to the place where they would one day say, have an issue. They never had closure. The mommy went and then disappeared, and they never heard about it until later. Oh, it means she died. So I involved them from the beginning, so that they chose the coffin. The other ones, they went to choose the coffin with their uncle, my brother-in-law, and somebody else, and I went with my other brother-in-law to go and choose the grave at Langata Cemetery. So I left it to them, and they chose. So they were engaged in that journey, and of course they were with me, of course, in church, and they were with me at the gravesite. Yeah. So they were there. We threw soil together. So I wanted them to see it to the end, and have that closure. So that's how it was. Of course, they were free to ask me anything, and I would answer them the best I could. Anything they would ask me, I would answer them. Yeah. Any questions they had about what's happening, what do I do with the handbags later on? What do I do with the handbags of? What will you do with these? So we would speak, and I would answer them the best I could. Yeah.
I what you said about closure, just the way you involved them, that was really that's amazing, and that they could go and even choose the coffin. So Alice, your son was just 2.5. So how did he ask for that week? What happened that week?
Oh, that week was, let's start with that evening, that night when we got back home, and he was asleep. By the time we got back home, he was asleep. So we waited until morning. The only people I think I managed to talk to that evening were my parents, and just informed them. So in the morning, the following, I remember it was on a Tuesday. So the following day on a Wednesday morning, and fun enough, we slept in somehow we managed to fit 4 of us in one small bed, because we didn't have the energy to wake him up and just tell him. So in the morning when I woke up and my parents were there, and some people started arriving, I thought, let me call him aside, because he's a very inquisitive young man. So call him aside and just, broke it to him. God, I'm sorry, but your dad has gone to heaven. Your dad is in heaven now with God, and he is not coming back again, because you have to be really open with him and tell them the truth. Because as George says, you don't want to come back at some point and say that they want to see, you're going to lie and say that he went to a faraway land, which some people suggested that I should tell him. But what happens the day he will start understanding, and he'll ask me, why is my dad and why is he never coming back? So I opted to be very honest with him and just tell him that your dad has gone to heaven and he's not going to be back. And he did not quite understand it, because at that point he spoke a lot of Kikuyu. He didn't really quite understand it. So it was a journey, because he'd stand in the room, and he was asking for the ladder that dad used to climb into heaven, and he wants that ladder. He wants to go with it to heaven too and be with the dad, because they were very close. But it took time talking to him, with just being open to him, just telling him the truth and telling him what's going on. He couldn't understand why then there were so many people at home. And he could see the sadness. Of course, he could see people crying. He could see us crying. He could, he sort of could understand, though he could not feel his dad's presence anymore. So yeah, we just talked to him. Yeah.
So you decided to tell him as it is, not use the words.
Tell him as it is, because I did not want to get to a point where he will ask me, where is dad and why is he not coming back? You told me he's left, he's gone. So tell it as it is, deal with the pain at that point, let him know the hard road truth. It's easier. It is, for some reason, at that point, it seemed the only sensible thing to do.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Alice.
And yeah. Sorry, so and George, I wanted it.
Yes, Alice, please.
Sorry, Pauline. I thought I wanted it coming from me, because then, you know, if it's coming from so many people, you don't know what information he's getting fed with. So I thought it's best I talk to him. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. You are in this pain, but you still felt I need to be the one telling my child. Amazing. And even you, George. So George, you do the value, you've gone to Nanata, you've married your wife. So how did life start again? How was life after that?
I was encouraged by one of my bosses, you know, they were supportive, my immediate boss and others, senior. I was encouraged by them, come back to work, keep your mind busy. Don't stay at home. So after the appropriate break, the compassionate leave, etc., I went back. And it helped for stability at home that I had a housekeeper who had been there with, since Shiro, my firstborn, was like 6 to 9 months there. In fact, she stayed with us for 10 years. So it helped that she was there, so she knew, because Priscilla had you know, taught her, of course, how to what should happen in our house. So that continued, you know, everything around the house, around taking care of the children, what they eat, what they drink, how they dress, whatever, you know, all that. The program of the house continued. But now, of course, without the lady of the house, but the housekeeper was there and taking care. So that helped manage the house, but things kind of stayed the same to that extent. Work, I went back, and I was able to go to church. People, of course, will be visiting and all that, family. So we re-engaged, you know, and moved on in life, knowing we had support from people around us. Some things I struggled with a bit around, like one thing I struggled with. Okay, now this housekeeper, the rule was that she works all the way until Saturday afternoon, then goes after lunch. When she's done with the house work and whatever she was doing, she goes away, comes back on Sunday evening. But now, after this, she was not going. She was there 24/7, you know. And at some point, I think after 3 months, I said, okay, the same way I like to be away from the office, I'm glad when the weekend comes to be away from the office now and take a break. This is work for her. She needs to also be able to get away from work. So, and go be with, you know, her family or friends or whatever. So I decided, okay, so what am I worried about? The children, what they will eat. She can cook. There'll be food in the fridge, and you know, for that Saturday and the Sunday. And if we go out on Sunday to church and go for lunch, we have that sorted. What about, is it their dressing? She would leave their clothes on that Saturday before she goes. Is it they are showering? I used to wash them from when they were babies. Yeah.
Wow.
So I could bath them. You know, it wasn't an issue. So what is it then? Going to bed? Then I take them to bed. Not a problem. So I said, I unbundled this thing of I might not be able to cope with taking care of them. The elements, I could deal with them. So I told her, from tomorrow, go. Saturday, go. You know? and she went, and that became the habit. When I might struggle
Wow.
with clothes for Sunday, she would then make sure she leaves clothes for Sunday uh, on the bed for me to, to dress them. So we moved on, and from there, I mean, now we were there. Weekends we are together. I'm home and I stay home. We might go to
Mm-hmm.
church together, but we are together in everything we are doing over the weekend. Of course, weekdays come home early. Yeah. The older one was in
Mm-hmm.
school, had begun school, and she stayed in school. The bus used to come for her. That kept happening. Of course, now informing the school, doing whatever, them coming to understand. By the way, there is no mother we can expect when we are looking for a mother.
Yeah.
But that happened. So yes, we moved on. Tough sometimes in school because of sometimes like when they give a meeting with an event without notice, you might struggle to be there. Otherwise, I made a point of being there for all their functions. And we
Wow.
moved, and we grew, and a year became another, and then another. And today
Mm.
we are 12 plus.
Wow. 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 Amazing. So we get back to you, George. So Alice, you've married your husband now about a week, I'm sure, after the death. It takes about. So how did life start again for you? How was it for you after that?
Oh, yes, the burial was on the 25th of Feb. And after that, everybody left. And you're alone, you and your little ones. And I thank God for Jane, as George has also said. I also thank God for Jane. Jane is my house manager. She came when my son was 9 months old, and to date she's still with us. Thank God for her, because she already knew our routine, and she was very, very good and very understanding, because she really helped me a lot with my daughter. When my daughter was quite young, she would not sleep through the night. So she would come and pick her up in the morning, because she knew I needed to get that sleep. She'd pick her up and just spend the whole morning with her, and just tell me, now you need to relax and make sure that she looks after the babies. How we managed, I really have to say thank you. There's some angels that I have had. My sisters, my friends. There are some of them who have just been there for us through thick and thin. It has been crazy. I have to say thank God for my boss, who was there 101%. I was already on maternity leave, so together with compassionate leave, I was at home for 6 months. And in those 6 months, for 3 good months, I did not leave the house. I was just within the house and just not even see any daylight, any sunlight. I was always scooping myself. I think I was going through some form of depression and just not wanting to see the light, not wanting to face reality. And one day, Jane, my house girl, just told me, you know what, get out. You need to get out of the house. You need to get some sun. In fact, that day she got a photographer. Those ones that, back in the day, they used to come with the camera and anakupiga picture. So the guy came and took a picture of me. And when he brought it a week later, after processing, I looked like a ghost. I really looked like a ghost. Excuse me, I looked like a ghost, and I did not like who I saw. I did not like what I saw, and that is not what I wanted for my children. So at that point, I had to get out. I knew I had to wake up. I had to move on. I decided that my son needed to go. He went to school at 2.5. But I think at that point, we needed to keep him busy, because he was also going to get to whatever I was going through, he was also suffering through the same. So looking for a school for him got me out. And it has not been easy managing. It has not been an easy journey. But I really, really thank God for what I have been through. I thank God that I have been able to see that. I have been able to go through that. I thank God for the cup that I was given. I drink from my cup with pride. I drink from my cup, my widowhood cup, with so much joy now. For all those that were there for me, for Rahab, for her husband Paul, everybody, for my brother, my parents, my mom-in-law has been there for us, you know. For Jane, I cannot, they pulled me out of a place that I don't even know. I didn't know how to face the future, but we managed. We managed, and we are good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So yeah, so George, the girls continued growing. They grew, and the routine, you said you got into this routine and you managed the work. So the little one was still very young when the mom died. So at what point did you continue having conversations about the mom? How did you deal with that?
In fact, one of the things I used to wonder was whether she was understanding. You know, she's called Joy. Whether she was understanding what has happened. Because the older one, you know, cried a bit and, you know, ran out. So I knew she was, and of course, the question she would then ask me, I knew she was processing it. I know, you know, she was going through it. But the young one, I wonder, because she never spoke a word about it, you know. Of course, she hung around her sister, but she never spoke a word to me about it. And I never saw her crying. But, you know, God is amazing, because somewhere, that was 2007, about the next February, when Joy, the young one, was now, that was 1.5, and now she was 2. I got a sleep disc situation, and I was put on bed rest. So I was home a lot with the small one, because she was still, I didn't believe in taking her to school too early, so she was still home. So I am home and she's home. And of course, I'm reading all these nice books, self-help, whatever I've been given about coping with widowhood and all that. So I said, in my little wisdom at that time, to try some of the things I was told. Practice saying goodbye to the portrait. So in my wisdom, like I said, I told my daughter, little one, because she was running around me when I was in the house, lying here. Say goodbye to mommy, you know, to the photograph on the wall. And she started crying, you know, and ran away. That's the first time I saw her cry. So then she left, and of course, so I think in her own little way she did understand, but and I guess also maybe it also told me the power of that image, that thing of saying goodbye to a portrait. And then she left. So I stayed with her. So we were with her, so talking, and of course I told them, ask any question. So I think she would perhaps not so much directly ask, but she would hear it. But she was young, remember, she was 2 now.
Yeah.
She would hear it from maybe our discussion with the sister, and then of course she came to learn. The older one, of course, would ask her question, understand it, and then move on. She got, at some point when I would tell the story, got upset with me trying to say it's the part of God should have taken me. No. So I knew, okay, I need to be careful what I say about that now when she's hearing.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how. So we stayed with them, and then of course she now begins to go to school, and yeah, when she was now older, I think 3 or something. Yeah.
Wow. So at what point, Alice, were you, now your daughter was just 6 weeks, so now she's grown up, she had grown up. At what point were you able to disclose and just talk about that to her?
I think along the way, because we used to talk about Sam a lot with the brother, she used to pick up about dad. She would call out his name, dad, but she really did not know what it meant. So when she was around 1.5 is when we start going through, you know, these are the pictures of dad. This was your father. This is what he used to do. He used to love doing this with your brother, and just showing him the pictures, not of the funeral, but the pictures of him alive. So this was so that she can put a name, and his name was not Dad, his name was Sam, so that then she gets to understand and to love him. And the fact that we really talked about Sam a lot, I think it was one way of getting us through, getting us by, just we talked. So she grew up knowing that there was a dad. The only thing that she didn't know that who is this dad and what is he. So she could pick him out of pictures, but she really did not understand the whole concept of dad properly until she really went to school. It's when now when she met with her friends who have fathers, and she's seeing her friends being brought by their fathers, is when it really, really sank in. And she came home and she's like, Mom, where did you say my father is? Where is my dad? So that is when we had that talk, that really, really deep talk with her. Your dad passed away. This is how it happened. And this is where he was. He was on his way. He was in Moranga, and it was an instant death. He was not unwell. He was not in hospital. And we all didn't get to say goodbye. None of us got to say goodbye. He left, and he left with the words that I'm coming back shortly, and that is it. And that was it. And to this day, he's still not back, and he's never coming back. So we talked to her about it a lot, quite a lot. So she grew up knowing him and loving him.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing, amazing. So now you definitely have, everybody has a home where they grew up in, but now the parents of your spouse who passed away. So how has it been, George? How have you related with your wife's family after that?
I think we've had a good relationship. Maybe some more closer than others, but we've had a relationship with them. I mean, the parents were godly, are godly. Okay, my mother-in-law passed away a couple of years ago, but godly. So we got along well with them. Now my siblings-in-law, we got along well with them, and we still do. So that we can do things together, visit each other. We'll gather for the annual, family event at in Nyeri for around before Christmas. So we do things together. At one point, there was somebody I was dating, and I had not told them, and I just saw somebody in the birthday party for one of my daughters. So they asked me afterward, say, "Who is that over there?" There's somebody we saw here. Who was she? So I told them, "He's a friend. Is what?" So why didn't you tell us? I mean, we know that we believe that marriage ends, like the Bible says, at death. So there's no marriage. I mean, our sister, you're free. We know that. So please do not hide a relationship from us. Tell us, show us. You can even, tell us so we can ask questions. Ask questions. But do not hide. Do not hide it. We are very okay. We are happy. I had the blessing of talking to my mom-in-law. It turned out to be that it was months before she passed away. But of course, then I did not know. One of those December visits, we were in Nyeri at their place. And she asked, I don't know, God's doing. The conversation of me marrying again came up, and she was very glad the topic came up. I've been wanting to talk to you about that, and to tell you it's okay.
Wow,
it's okay. So
like
you can marry,
like setting you free, like George, we are okay. Wow.
Yes, you can marry again. It's very okay. Very okay for you to marry again. Give the girls a new mother. It's very okay. Yeah.
Wow. That was
I was glad we had the conversation. Yeah. So we are good.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow. So so now, of course, the family of your husband, how has it been? How have you related over the years?
Over the years, Pauline, when you're a widow, when you're, I'd say newly married, I was only married for 3 years, for a very, very short time. So, you don't get to know one another. You don't get to become familiar with one another. You don't know where you lie. As a widow, you don't know. As a lady, when you get married, you never know where you lie. then bam, he's gone, and you're left with I'd call them you're a stranger in your own home, so to speak. You know, you're married there, but yet you're a stranger, so you just don't know what to expect, or you don't know what is expected of you. So it's a very touch and go relationship. In-laws, you have to learn to love one another. You have to learn to accept. So it is at a point whereby I really didn't know where I was, or much as I am also crying, my mom-in-law was also crying. She had lost a son. You know, we are both, she might be worried of the fact that she has been left. I was only 30. She has been left so young. So, you know, is she going to then also wake up and leave and ship off and go with our children, or what will happen? You know, you just don't know. You have really not formed a relationship. So it was a bit chaotic, I would say. It was a bit chaotic, but I think with time, we have come to a point where we have learned to mutually respect one another.
Wow.
We have come to a point whereby, you know, I understand that she has the pain of losing her son. I also have the pain of losing my husband. And we cannot be at loggerheads forever. I understand her now, and I thank God for what has been revealed to me. And Sam didn't come from a big family. He had a brother. So with the brother, we were close, though we were not, as I told you, it was a young marriage. We were not very, very close. Yeah. So though he had many cousins, you just don't know where you lie. You are uncertain. You don't know who to talk to, who to relate to. You don't know who to be free with. You want to, but over the years, there are some of them that we have gotten very, very close with, and some that you still walk and you just don't know. You're still the outsider. You're still that lady who came. That for some reason never goes away. It is always going to be there. It's always going to. I don't know if they're afraid of me or it's me who is afraid of them. It is one of those whereby I just don't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
but
think what I really. Yes, Alice. Yes, Alice.
No, but with my mom, I thank God. I want to say I thank God for her, because she has been a gem. She has been a gem. Even when we were at loggerheads, she always did the right thing. Wow. When push came to shove, she did the right thing. So I do thank God for her.
Wow, wonderful. What I like, what I'm picking from both of you is the fact that you have not denied your spouse's family, the joy of their grandchildren. You still want them to know their family. Yeah. Because because they're part of the family. Yeah.
Yeah, it is important that they know him. They know the family, because that's who they are. They're the ones who know his history, where he came from, and I cannot tell them. I cannot teach them about him more than they know him better than I do. So it is important that they get to know them, that he gets to love them. And I do not want to get to a situation whereby when we grow up one day, he brings me a girlfriend or she brings me a boyfriend and it ends up to be the cousin or something. So it is important for them to still
want that family. I like
to know that family. It is their family.
Very powerful point right there. Thank you, George and Alice. So we're going towards the end. I want to ask you, George, what is that one thing that you remember that had been the hardest, or an event that you went through this journey of widowhood that you remember was the hardest?
I think I remember a couple of things, but maybe the one I would say is there was one time when a time when I really, when I thought about how I have no one I'm accountable to. The way a man is accountable to his wife. She can ask him anything. I know God is there and I'm accountable to him, as my God. But the way you are accountable to your wife, and I thought of that. I said, there's no one I'm accountable to. And I felt very lonely at that thought, So that's one thing, yes, that stuck with me. There'll be lonely days and all that, wishing there was somebody around. But I remember that day when I thought that there is no one. Yeah. And I felt very alone.
Yeah. That was hard. Okay.
It was hard.
It was hard. Alice, what is that event or moment or time that was hardest for you in your journey, has been hardest?
The event that has been hardest for me was back in 2011, 2012, when I had a really bad bout of TBM, that's TB meningitis. And at that point, I thought, because of how serious it was, I thought that I would go and leave my children on their own. And it really, really scared me. And that is the point that you realize you're on your own. And I really wish that Sam was around, so that even if something happens to me, that my children will at least have one of us. So that was a very, very, very scary moment for me. It was a tough period for me, but it was also a good period. A good period. And I say a good period is because I saw how much God rescued me. He pulled me out of pits that I did not know that I was in. And from that, I knew how much God loves me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So, George, what is that?
Yeah.
You have told us about the family. Family has been good, you have kept the relationship and everything. But there's the public out there. There are people in church, there are people at work, we're everywhere. What would you tell people about how best to handle a widower, having walked the journey?
I think I would say, don't avoid us. I'm reminded of a friend of mine from church who knew Priscilla. They'd worked together. He was close to us. He's still a good friend. So he told me one time, he confessed that I would see you in church and cross the road. So I don't meet you, because I didn't know what to tell you, So I think I would say, do not avoid that widow, wondering what will I tell them. Sometimes they don't need to come here, probably about your wife again. You had that, he's still your friend, if he's a friend, or your colleague, acquaintance, whatever. So keep relating as you have, don't avoid them. Yeah, so that's what I would tell them. So keep up the friendship, be their friend.
Okay. Not to avoid.
Support, but you don't have to say come. Keep the friendship.
Okay, thank you. So not to avoid when we see someone who has lost a spouse, who is a widower especially. That's from you, a man. So Alex, what would you tell the public, someone out there, about a young widow?
I will start with what George has said. Don't avoid us. It's not a disease. It is not contagious. And widows do not carry that grief with them. You cannot tell a widow just by looking at her. So don't say, oh, you look so happy to be a widow. It's not written across our faces, On the funerals, don't come to me and tell me I will be there for you if you know you're not going to be there for me. Just keep quiet, just sit there and just do nothing. Don't, for the in-laws, I work with the Taraja Trust. It's a widows group. And we have encountered so many stories of widows. I may not be going through it, but there are so many stories of widows being put through hell by their in-laws. These ladies, you have daughters, you have nieces that will one day get married. What you put other people through, do you expect for your daughters to go and get the same treatment? Can you stop being rough, being vile to the widows, for lack of a better word, being vile? Because I know there are people going through quite a bit, widows who are getting disinherited just because you're a widow and your in-laws feel like, I can do this. You're putting the widows through, they already have so much pain, and especially the young widows. And when I say the young widows, don't get me wrong, it's not because I don't feel for the older widow, but I say the young widow because she has children that she's now bringing up on her own. She's the father and the mother to these children. Whereas the older widow has already educated her children. The parents, those children are now looking after the parents, after the mother. But the young widows, us, we still have our children. We need to bring them up. We need to fend for them. Can you just stop putting widows through the tough times that, at the end of the day, widowhood is, we are all widows waiting, because if you're married and it is not a prayer for anyone, you're a widow in waiting, because you do not know about tomorrow. You really don't know about tomorrow. So stop putting through them the nightmares that they're going through and that you're putting them through. And just love us. We are not here to fight. We are not here to do anything. Just love us. We're just looking for that love, somebody to fill that void that has been taken away.
Wow, that's thank you for that, Alice.
Yeah.
Now, George, speak to a widower out there. There's a young widow. There's a widower. The wife has just passed on. What would you tell that widower?
I know the pain is great right now. The sorrow is there. All those dreams you had for a life together, it could be crashing around you in terms of now it won't happen with that person. It won't happen the way you thought. But that sorrow will end. That sorrow is not forever. A day will come when you'll be able to have that to think about the one you lost without sorrow. It will be a memory that will not bring sorrow. Then that day will come. You not look at today, but by the grace of God, that day will come, and that grace is sufficient. For those difficult days when you're feeling lonely. People have gone, as Ali said. One day that people left, and that's how these things go. There are people around you the first days, weeks, and then people go on with life, and they move away. That even when that happens, the grace is there. God's grace is there to hold you and carry you through. When you might feel like giving up, like I did one time, I was saying, I feel like I want to give up. I feel like giving up. Then I asked myself, give up and do what? So get up, get going, and keep going. And then stay close to family. Lean on the family, your family. Don't be far from them. Lean on your friends. I mean, your church. And maybe they have small groups, ministry. If you're in one, stay in that. Lean on a good friend. I've had a good friend who's been he was one of my pastors, but he went on just to be a friend, and now my best friend, who has stayed with me from for those 12 years plus. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's have coffee. Let's have breakfast every month, every other 2 months. Let's do this, and bring me out what's going on with you. So stay close to a good friend, like that. Don't retreat to yourself. Stay engaged with family. Stay engaged in your church. You're in a ministry. Keep doing. You know, maybe there are things you can't do. Like we were doing premarital counseling. Of course, now that you can't do as a single person. So that stops. Deacon, I also say that I'm probably let me step down from this. Though they were happy to let me keep doing it, but there are things you can do that, you know, keep doing them. I mean the home Bible study I lead, and I lead that. Keep doing some of those things that of church. They keep you going. Of course, you stay engaged with your church. That support structure is very important. So this sorrow will go. Stick around, friends. Trust God. He will see you through.
Wow. Thank you, George, for that. So talk to a young widow out there, Alice.
To that young widow, to that newly widowed lady, it may not look like it right now, but things will look up. Time is a great healer. Be wise. Be very, very wise. Choose your friends. We all make mistakes, but choose your friends. You know, do not feel bad to cut out people who are leading you astray. Cut them out, because at the end of the day, what we have, the best interest of your children at heart. People will talk. At the end of the day, regardless of what you do or say, people will always talk. There are those who will not like what you do. There are those who will not like the decisions you make, but you have to be wise in those decisions, because at the end of the day, the world, the community is judging you. We widows are judged differently. We are already vulnerable enough, but be wise in everything that you do. Keep your friends, keep your God close, and walk the journey. And don't cry for too long, as some of us did. We cried for so long. Don't cry for so long. Lift yourself up. It will look up, and we are not made to be alone. So if you do get that person who you feel and have prayed about, the right person, and if they do come along, do not feel embarrassed or feel bad to move on. Do move on, but always teach your children about their father, because whether he's here or not, he will always be their father.
Wow.
Yeah?
Thank you,
Alice. You're welcome, Pauline. If I could also say a word to that married man who has a wife, yeah? Much as we want to hide our lives from our wives, or, you know, it looks like the fashionable thing to do, involve your wife. You know, you're looking after her tomorrow. I have seen people crying just because the husband was not open. He did things on his own. Open, do things together. The reason you married her is because you trusted her and you took her vow before God together. Open up to her. Let her know what you're doing. Stop hiding things from her. Let her know, because at the end of the day, God forbid anything happens to any one of you, you will be looking after her interest. If she knows, and this also goes to the wives. If your spouse knows what you're doing, it will only make things easier for them. God forbid one day if any of you will not be there.
Wow. Thank you. That is very powerful, Alice. And of course, as we end this forum, I cannot miss to ask one question. So, George,
yes,
have you thought of remarriage? And Alice,
yes, I have. The Bible says it is not good for a man to be alone. I believe that word thoroughly. It's just that the right person has not come.
Okay, so you
not
are
for lack of trying.
Okay, so you have been trying?
Yes.
Okay. So we wish you well on that, George. That God, I like what you said, that the Bible says it's not good for man to live alone, and after, just like your mom-in-law told you that you're free to marry. I really like that. And we just pray for your next journey of getting a partner and a mother to you've talked about it with your children.
We've talked about it. They would pray for me. That God give Daddy a new wife and us a new mother. We prayed that prayer many times.
Wonderful. And so, Alice, have you thought remarriage?
Yes, I have. Now I have the children are grown and they know themselves. They have a good foundation. So yes, now I am thinking about it because as I told you, we are not made to be alone. I personally am not made to be alone. So yes, I am praying about it. We have prayed about it. We have talked about it with the children now. And yes, they actually, when we are walking around and my daughter sees somebody, she's like, Mom, what about that one? And you have
Interesting.
explaining to her that it just doesn't happen like bam, you have to get to know the person and it has to be a suitable person, somebody who will not only love me, but will also love them, but also somebody that who will come and respect the unit that we already have. So we are praying about it, and yes, we are hopeful, and yes, hopefully we will.
Wow. So we wish you
Yes.
well as well, Alice, that God will
Thank
give
you.
you the partner to continue on with life. So viewers,
Yeah.
thank you for being with us. It was a joy. Thank you, George and Alice, for just opening up your lives to everybody who is watching right now. And we can see from a sad time years back, not so many lived very short with their spouses. They were left with very little children. But look at them now. They can talk as they laugh. It's never easy. That vow for better, for worse, until death do us part. It's something we say. It's something we know has to happen. We don't know when it will happen. And so we had two people who shared that it became a reality for them. And we know we will plow again, we will get back on our feet again, just like George and Alice have gone. And so until next Friday, it's bye from me and God bless you. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye,
Bye
viewers.
bye.
Bye bye. Thank you,
Thank you. Bye
Pauline.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Okay, you're
Pauline. Bye bye.
welcome.
Thank you.